Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Avengers movie star Jeremy Renner, who plays the titular character Hawkeye in the mega franchise, is facing a custody battle with his ex-wife, Sony Pacheco. His ex-wife is seeking sole custody, accusing the actor of putting their daughter at risk and filing a plea to the Superior Court of California on September 10, 2019. Also, she demanded that the actor has monitored visits with the 6-year-old daughter, Ava. The pair got married in September 2014 and separated after 10 months of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. The court's hearing is scheduled for November 7. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports is coming up right after this. Former Manchester City defender Vincent Kompany is set to miss his testimonial at the Etihad Stadium due to his hamstring injury. The Belgian was scheduled to feature in his own testimonial match as the City Legends managed by Pep Guardiola will take on a Premier League Legends team managed by Roberto Martinez. The money raised from the friendly will go towards tackling MCR to help with homelessness in the city. Kompany left City after 11 years to join Anderlecht as player boss in the summer. And that's it on sports, and that's also a roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us then, and do have a great day.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
It's a long story, man, because after I left church, because I love music so much, like I've loved music right since when I was 9, from my primary school days, I love music. So I started working in a pure water company, where I was paid 15,000 naira in a month. I was earning very low salary then, but I had no choice. I had to do it because I had to pay for studio session, go to shows before you buy one or two, bus score for you to wear money don't finish, I went through so many challenges, man. After, I started working at Loot again, Loot, Lagos State,
Like what? In what capacity?
Yeah, health attendant, yeah. Okay. I worked for 8 years.
Wow.
Where I gathered all my salary just to make sure, everything went well for me. But thank God, after the OSU, so many dirty jobs that I did then, but thank God today I'm here, Even
while I was Waje, I was squatting with a friend. I couldn't afford a house. I couldn't afford an apartment of my own in my early years as a musician, and sometimes at some point it was from one friend's house to the other because you also have to be sensitive to some people. You get the way they go take change and for you, you said go find how you go, you understand? And even at that point, for every money that I made, I knew that my daughter was living with my mom. And I knew that it was my responsibility to cater for my daughter. So that I was squatting was no reason why I shouldn't be able to, work and give my daughter something, for her fees, my mom. So even the schools then, they used to spread the fees for me. Sometimes I'll pay up to 5 times. My first salary was 1,000 naira.
Wow.
And then I was in the university. I had not even entered the university, but I was a church secretary. But that 1,000 naira was enough for me to buy baby milk at the time, because I needed to do what needed to be done.
Without being too specific, it's just when I was making the transition from working from my grandfather's house to my own space, I went from having a lot to not having so much. So I thought I needed to quit, but it was just even actual reasons for me to keep going. So I don't need people to just, if they forget anything, they should just understand that if they need to keep watering, they need to keep ensuring the soil is good, and it's seasonal, but they are made of the stuff that roses will grow from, so they'll be fine.
Being an entrepreneur in Nigeria has been very difficult. For me, I started my business over 10 years ago, so we're looking at about 12 years now. The challenges along the way have been, have been many, to say the least. But I think one thing that has gotten me through is support. So whenever you're trying to get through a challenging time, look for people around you who can support you. I have a very supportive husband and family. My parents have also been very supportive. It was tough in the early days, but I think also having a business mind. So it's one thing to have passion, which is great, but you have to support it with a business mind. Absolutely, if you want to succeed and if you really want to scale in your business.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ladies Talking Business. On this episode, I'm nothing short of excited about our guest. Stephanie Obi is an author, a speaker, coach, and tech founder. She helps entrepreneurs create, launch, and sell online courses. She has worked with over 200 women to create their online courses. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio.
Thank you too. I'm happy to be here.
The queen of online courses in Nigeria. It is not what you have that limits you, but it's what you have but don't know what to do with it. Tell us what inspired that particular quote.
A man called Faladro Toyese.
Okay.
And it really hits me because I see this all the time when people take what they know for granted, and they always focus on what they don't have. Oh, I don't have money, I don't have, oh, if only I had this, if only I had that. Meanwhile, they have wealth in their head, like they have knowledge that they can monetize, but it's just there sitting down doing nothing. And if only they can package that knowledge into an online course and sell it, they can sell it to Nigerians, they can sell it to Africa, they can sell it to people in any part of the world, and they can earn a healthy stream of income just by sitting down in their houses and be getting credit alerts.
Now, this is something you do for a living.
Yes.
How many countries or how many continents have you been able to reach via training online?
Oh, I've stopped counting these days, but I remember the first time that I launched my first online course. It was I was shocked at the number of countries that we reached. I was just, what year was this? 2013. I launched my first online course, and people from over 9 countries signed up. I was having people from Saudi Arabia, Tanzania. I'm like, what? Oh my God! Like, I didn't believe it, but it was happening. So now I've gotten used to it, and it's no longer a big deal for me. But I found that the internet is so powerful. When you just put something out there, you don't know how people somewhere will get a hold of it, and they can patronize your product.
Well, how did it all come about? How did you start this particular niche? Because it's quite foreign for some people.
So at the time, I had this hobby, Ankara accessories. I knew how to make Ankara accessories, so I used to make them. All right, and then one day I said, you know, I would like to teach other people how I make these accessories. I've done this thing for a while. I've earned so much money from it. It has helped me all through when I was in school, when I was doing my master's, my first job. Like, I always had this nice side hustle. So I said, just imagine if other ladies can also have an extra stream of income. You know, let me do some trainings for them. I did my first training. I planned it. I created, toolkits. I did all sorts of things, and nobody showed up. Nobody, not one person. And so, you know, it was a very emotional for me. I cried and cried and cried, and after crying, I cleaned my eyes and I said, there must be something I did wrong. Let me figure out what it is. And I realized that I didn't market it properly. I didn't market it online. At the time, I thought that social media was a fad, and it would just, you know, after a while, all these buzz about Facebook would go. But when I saw that I had this training program, nobody attended it. I said, let me go and try social media marketing. Let me really put myself out there. And so I did this training, and the first class, 4 people came. I said, okay, all right, it's a good sign. It's a good sign.
A good place to
so
be.
I kept marketing it online, and then I started getting people messages from people in Yola, Ekiti State, Calabar. Stephanie, I really want to attend your training, but I can't travel right now. Can you come to my city? You know, I was getting messages from different places. I couldn't go to all these cities, and so I said, okay, what if I do an online course? What if I do an online training, and all these people can watch my training videos, and I don't have to travel to all these different cities?
It's exactly the same thing you'd have thought if you were present there.
Yeah. So I created the online course. When I experiment, you know, I didn't really have a lot of expectations. Let me just see if it will work. This was 2013. The internet was not that, you know, a lot of people did not have access to data.
The internet bubble that we have now wasn't
and at that time, we even did not really have 3G, so your phone was always on GPRS, then you had to change the setting to 3G. So it was, you know, not everyone had access to smartphone, but let me just try. I did, and to my amazement, people paid for these trainings. People kept on paying for these trainings, and they kept on paying from different parts of the world. And it opened my eyes to this online education industry. And what I did not realize at the time is that this industry was already over worth $100 billion in the Western market, and it was very well developed. So people already knew what it was to create and sell online courses. But in Africa, we hadn't even started, because we were just getting access to the internet and stuff like that. That's how I discovered it, and I've been launching online courses ever since then.
Because we see even Harvard Business School now has their online platform where they are monetizing, you know. Well, let's talk a bit about people's skill and experiences. Do you think we're taking advantage of our skills and experiences well enough?
I think that we haven't, I'm talking as a country now, we haven't done so well. And the first problem is a lot of people don't know that they can even monetize their knowledge. So people don't even know. So they have skills, they have expertise, but they just have it.
Or maybe they don't know how to go about it.
Yeah, so some just have it, they don't know anything about it. Some don't know how to do anything. Some don't know what to do. Some are a bit scared about tech. It looks complicated.
Oh my goodness.
And so because they don't want to start, you know, but it's a big opportunity that we can all take advantage of.
I mean, when people hear tech, I'm running away. And I don't know.
Yeah, so there's this widespread phobia, and it's very common among women. If you talk to men about creating online courses, the first thing they'll tell you is, hey, I'm not a techie. I'm not a techie. And you know what I always say? So when I was starting out my first online course, I had to build an online school. Like there's so many techie things I had to do because there were no platforms.
Did you have that background before?
I had a first class in computer science.
Okay.
And so I guess I wasn't scared of technology. Thank you. And so I could say I can figure this out. You know, I had that attitude. But I found that as I started helping women, they struggle with the tech. Not everybody is like me. Not everybody, you know, has studied, you know, computer science. Not everybody wants to do anything with tech. Some people have had very horrible experiences before, and so
now I've had my own experience. I won't share, but I've had my own experience.
Yes. So I was discovering all of this, and so we decided to then build a tech platform that makes it very easy for anybody to create and sell online courses. So we now have it. It's called Train Quarters. And so what I now tell people is that it's now so easy to now create and launch an online course, because you don't have to be a techie, you don't have to know how to code.
You don't have to develop from scratch anymore.
If you can use Facebook, if you can use Instagram, you can use this kind of platform, because we've made it easy for you. Just open an account and then you're good to go. So, but when I was starting, it was tough, and I will admit it. It was tough. Oh God.
I can't imagine.
There's so many things we have to figure out, but yeah, it's now easy.
So now you specialize in helping people monetize their skill online. How has this experience been for you? And what are the basic things that are necessary to create like an online platform?
So
At least for starters.
So first of all, you need to be clear about what you want to teach. All right, just know, what do I have that I can teach? And the mistake a lot of people make is that they think it has to be one
Something out of the moon.
Look, it can be anything. It can be how to cook. It can be how to style your hair. We have clients who have done courses all these kind of topics. Very simple, easy-looking topics. But what somebody is very good at, another person may be weak at that thing. So, you know, if you're good at something, don't think everybody is good at that thing. Some people don't know how to do it, and they will want to learn how to do it too. So the first thing is pick a topic. You have to just decide, I'm going to teach you this thing. And of course, you have to see whether there's a market for it. If I decide to teach this thing, and there are people who are going to pay for this online course, that's the first thing, to validate your ideas. After that, the second step is that you structure your online course. Okay, this is going to be my outline. This is how I'm going to deliver the course. It'll be over 6 weeks, over 8 weeks. I will title it this. This is how much I'm going to sell the course. You know, that is just packaging the course, structuring it so that it becomes like an asset. It becomes property, you know. The next step is that you now start growing your audience. Because each time when you create a course, you are creating it for a set of people. Yes. When you want to market the course, then get them comfortable with you. Get them to trust you.
I think that's very important.
Yes, it's very important. So that they feel like, oh, if I send her money to pay for this online course, she won't run away with my money. She's going to give me the videos that I paid for. Yes. So that's very important. Growing this audience and getting them to know you, to like you, to trust you, to rave about you, talk to their friends about you. When you have this audience, you can then sell your online course to them. And you can sell multiple online courses to them, but this time they'll easily buy from you because they now trust you. All right? And then, funny enough, the last step is to create your course content. Because all this is work. Growing that audience, getting them to trust you, that is where the work really is. But the last step is shooting videos and talking. If I wake you up from sleep and say, come and teach you this thing, you know it. So you just quickly talk about it. But the part that requires more work is getting people to trust you online.
All right, you talked about creating videos, for example. Do you have particular kind of cameras that you recommend that these people make use of? When they take a look at some of the videos you create, not some, all of them as a matter of fact, there's this crisp, pretty, almost very clear touch to it. What's the secret? Because honestly, I've seen some videos online, just the quality puts me off. Once what was this person thinking? Sometimes the person's head starts from here. What happens to the rest of your head is gone. So what are those particular things I should also take note of while creating videos for your online content?
One of the things I always think about is I think about how my viewer will feel when they're watching this course. So in particular, because I talk about tech, I know that they're scared of tech. I know that they already have fences up. And so I try to make them feel comfortable. So make the place look nice, make it look, so it's intentional. So you make the video, the ambience look nice. They enjoy watching you. They enjoy listening. They don't even know when they're like, okay, this is not that scary.
Tech in a pretty space.
Yeah, it's not that scary. But that's for my own audience. Okay. Now, if I was speaking to a different audience who did not care about all those, you know, bells and whistles, you can make it, okay, guys, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to do this, that. So it really depends on the audience you're speaking to and how you want to make them feel. That will then determine the ambience of your course, of your videos, the voice you use, the decor, like the background and all of that. It really depends on the audience. Secondly, there are no hard and fast rules about the equipment and all of that. If you don't want to get involved in it, you can just outsource it. If you want to do it yourself, you can get a camera. I don't like making the barriers to entry very high. So any camera you can afford, you can start with that.
Whatever phone.
The great thing about online courses is that you can launch version 1. After a while, you upgrade it and launch version 2. After a while, you know, as your brand grows, you can look at those videos and say, this video is not what my brand. I need to
upgrade.
Scale it up. Yeah, but what's very important is you start. So no matter what level you are, you can decide to do it yourself with whatever camera you have, or you can decide to outsource it to someone who can do it for you. Or or you can even decide to record your slides, do video recordings, where you're just recording your slides. But it depends on what kind of online course you're teaching. When I was creating my first online course on how to make Ankara accessories, that one was a practical class, so I needed videos to show my hands and what I was doing.
Yes.
But if you're teaching something like maybe English, or something like
it's just you
communication. It's just me talking,
and
I'm just explaining certain things to you. In that case, you can actually use a slide presentation and just record your voice over the slides. Yes.
How expensive is this? Do you need a capital of what? 100,000, 200, 300?
So,
because people tell you, I have the skill, but the money I don't have.
The beauty about this thing is that no matter where you want to start from, there's a way to go about it. If you want to say, I'm going to do DIY, you can just use your phone. You can use your phone, you won't pay anything. If you say, I want to go high-tech, nice videos, I want the animation to go like this, that's all you pay for that. So it depends on what your budget is.
Okay,
yeah, any amount.
All right, so we're going to hold on for a bit now.
All right.
We'll take a quick break. Remember, you're still watching Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. Do stay with us.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
No, really disastrous for a president
to even say
to be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very
terrible
strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
Thank you for staying with us. All right, Stephanie, let's just talk a bit about consistency. I know we touched a bit on it before we went on break, but when you're creating your online content, the need for consistency.
So there are different reasons why you need to be consistent. Number one, I'll
and then
start
like
with the
clarity
one,
of idea as well.
All right. So I'll start with the one that I'll start with one a lot of people like to hear about. Number one is the money. Now let me tell you something. If you launch your first online course, let's say you just launch your first online course, you can make your first $1,000 from your first online course. If you relaunch it again, you can make more. If you relaunch it again, you can make more. I've seen clients go from $0 to $10,000 just by being consistent, relaunching the course over and over and over again. So that alone is enough motivation. But you know what I find? People who are led to teach people, they're teaching because they really want to impact lives. So that's another angle. When you start impacting lives, you will start hearing the stories of the lives that are being transformed. And if you just hear one testimonial, that can keep you consistent. I can remember that the first online course I launched, back again when I was in Ankara Accessories, one girl from UK sent me a message. She said, Stephanie, when I came on the online course, I felt very, I was very sad. I was out of a bad relationship, and so I didn't feel like, I didn't feel like I could do more with my life. I was broken. I came on the online course. I learned Ankara Accessories. I started my own business. I'm now making my own money. Like, I don't have to rely on men anymore. I feel confident. I feel like I can achieve something. I've always wanted to go to fashion school, but I didn't feel I was good enough. I applied to fashion school, and I got in. I want to tell you, thank you for changing my life. Now, this was just one of the testimonials I got. I kept getting testimonials consistently. And so what you find is that this business helps you to impact lives and also make money. So it's a win-win. So no matter what you're motivated by, if you're motivated by impact, it works. If you're motivated by money, it also works. So that would help you to become consistent because you wake up and say, the work I do is important. There are lives that need to be changed. And if I put myself out there, if I keep launching these online courses, their lives will be changed, and I'll also earn a stream of income. Yeah.
All right. What are those major challenges that your clients complain about before they start their online courses?
So there are a number of them. The first one is clarity, like you mentioned. I'm not sure what to teach. I'm not sure if anybody wants to learn this topic. I'm not sure if I'm good enough. Who am I for people to pay me? And I'm not techie, I'm not pretty enough, I may not make sense. And so what I find is that a lot of the challenges that they're going through is all in their mind. So something, over the years, there are things that have told them consistently that what they have is nothing, that they cannot be more or do more. And so they're holding on to those limiting beliefs, and it holds them down. So when they come on the program, it's like war against these negative thoughts that I've held for so long. But when they break through, it's like when they break through,
they start to blossom.
It's like, you start seeing them doing all sorts of things that they thought that they couldn't do before. But now, they can now, you see them launching all sorts of programs. It's like they've come into their own now. So the biggest challenge really is the mindset. The second challenge they have is strategies. Okay, you've told me about launching an online course, but how? How can I do it?
I know what I want to do, but how?
How can I do it? How can I get these results? The third challenge is the tech. They're terrified of it, or they've tried it before, it couldn't work out, so they don't think that they are the kind of people who can launch online courses. But now that has been resolved because of our tech platform that we just launched, Train Quarters. So those are the major challenges that they have.
How can online course providers ensure that they remain, their contents consistently add value to their clients? Are there certain questions you should ask yourself?
Yes, but before you ask yourself those questions, you also have to ask the audience. So let me explain this. An online course is not just about you selling your knowledge or selling information. An online course is a solution to a problem. So before you create an online course, you must have identified the problem. These people are complaining about X, Y, Z. So when you come to the online course, you're asking, what can I teach them that will help them to resolve that problem that they have? So your course when you're creating your curriculum, you'll be asking yourself, what's the first thing they have to know? What's the second thing they have to know? What's the third thing they have to know? All right, so you are asking yourself questions in response to the problem you have identified. So the first step is to go and do the research and to hear people complain about a particular problem. Then you go back and say, okay, based on the results I've achieved in my life, how can I help this person? Now, that when you go and do that research, there are times where you will say, this problem, I cannot solve it. It's not my problem. Maybe another person will solve it. But then you will also hear problems that you can solve. So your online course will focus on solving those particular problems. Now, if you focus on solving problems for people, that's the only way you can remain relevant. Because they will continually thank you when they've gotten results.
They'll keep coming.
They will
referring,
keep referring, referring your work. They will go to the hilltop and scream it that, oh God, this course changed my life. And because of that, a lot of people will sign up for the course. So that's why you will see online courses. The first time they launch, maybe 10 customers. Second time they launched, and they now have testimonials from the first set. They can double their number of customers. They can triple. They can grow times 10. And each time they keep relaunching, as they are relaunching and showcasing the testimonials of people who have been through the program, more people keep signing up.
Yeah. We need to leverage on these online platforms more, but we see that some businesses are still very comfortable using the traditional methods of selling.
Well, you know like what they say, the day you wake up, it's your morning. The day you wake up is your morning. Sometimes when you see people doing stuff online, you don't realize how much they're making. When you start hearing how much people are making from doing online courses, you will wake up.
Oh, wow.
Especially because, you know, the thing about online courses is that you just do it once. You do the video recording once. And then you start selling those set of videos over and over and over again. Now, if you compare that to you always doing physical, always expending energy, doing physical training, and then you have to pay for the hall, pay for food, pay for power, pay for this, pay for that. If you just do the numbers, you see which one is more profitable. So some people have just not seen the business opportunity, but one day they will see it. And
this particular conversation requires a lot of marketing, which some people may not be able to do themselves. So how would you advise that they push, you know, these platforms?
Well, especially if you're speaking to consumers, like individuals, there's no business, B2C related business that does not involve marketing. So if you are somebody who doesn't like marketing, it's a bigger problem. It means that other parts of your business will suffer. Yeah. So
this is something you have to outsource if you're not the...
I would say that you need to just deal with the reasons why you don't like marketing. Yeah, deal with it because, you know, marketing and sales is the soul of the business. So it's what keeps money coming in consistently. So if you have a problem with marketing your business, then there's a bigger problem. We have to then deal with why are you not comfortable marketing your business? Do you feel like you're not giving value? If you're giving value, I want you to think of, there's this, I like to paint this picture. Imagine somebody has headache and you have Panadol, or you have a brand that can, a drug that can solve that person's problem, or the person has a disease or something, and you have a solution to that problem. Are you going to stay down in your house and say, I don't like marketing, let that person die? Is that not wickedness? Marketing is saying, I have a solution. Let me come out so that people who are suffering can see my solution. That's how to look at it. So it's not about forcing your product down people's throats. It's about saying, let me go out there and showcase my solution. People who need this will pay for it. And when you go with that mindset, it's not difficult to market an online course or any other product that you have.
And I think one of your selling points, I must say, at this at this particular juncture is your smiling, because I think that is one thing that everybody wants to come to your page and see you smiling.
Oh,
if you're running an online course, I don't want to see you. Well, is this supposed to be the person teaching me for the next 1 month?
Let me tell you something. It's just my own brand. Because some people come and see me smiling and like, oh, this girl, she's smiling. She does not know serious business because she's smiling. Let me go to somebody who, you know, wears a jacket have a serious face. So you attract your tribe. So I've attracted a tribe of people who want to see a smiling face, happy people, and at least they are smiling as we're talking about the tech. All right, but some other people want somebody who's a bit more serious and stern, uptight. You know, to each his own.
Each man know your business, know your tribe, and just stick to it. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. And that's all on Ladies Talking Business. For more content of this nature, do follow us on Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also follow my social media handles at Ubani Irene on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you and bye. Until next time, I remain your host, Irene Ubani.
Many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines, and I am Amaka Okoye. Now, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja on Tuesday upheld President Muhammadu Buhari's victory in the February 23rd general election. The People's Democratic Party and its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar had filed a joint petition that challenged the president's victory in the election. Delivering judgment, Justice Muhammad Garba, chairman of the five-man tribunal, held that the petitioners failed to discharge the burden of proof expected of them. Garba said allegations of electoral fraud made by the petitioners were criminal in nature and therefore required to prove beyond reasonable doubt. The judge also held that neither the president nor the All Progressive Congress could be held to account for the alleged ballot box snatches and other cases of violence allegedly carried out by individuals. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has rejected the judgment of the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal, which held that the candidate of the ruling All Progressive Congress, President Muhammadu Buhari, won the February 23rd 2019 poll. The PDP, in a statement on Wednesday by its National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olobodiyan, said the verdict was provocative, a subversion of justice, and a direct assault on the integrity of the nation's justice system. The party said it was particularly shocked that the tribunal failed to point to justice despite the flawless evidence laid before it. The opposition party said it will not lose hope or surrender to despondency or self-help, as their lawyers are optimistic about obtaining justice at the Supreme Court. The coalition of the United Political Parties on Wednesday said it received with angst the judgment of the Presidential Election Tribunal, which upheld President Muhammadu Buhari's election. The CUPP spokesperson, Imo Ugochinyere, said CUPP rejected the verdict totally. According to him, it is the law turned upside down and an insult and a provocation to Nigerians. He noted that from the totality of the judgment, the Court of Appeal and the PEPT panel has lost the rare opportunity presented to it by the petition of the consensus opposition candidate Atiku Abubakar to put an end to electoral fraud, leadership incompetence, and the imposition of an unfit leader on the people. CUPP is of the stand that by the judgment, majority of Nigerians who had believed, though erroneously, that the judiciary was indeed independent, have been brazenly awakened to the fact and correct belief that the presidency had successfully hijacked the judiciary, and Nigerians can only expect judgments and not justice. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari says Wednesday's ruling of the presidential election petition on the February 23rd, 2019 poll is victory for Nigerians who trooped out overwhelmingly to elect him for a second term in office. The president's reaction to the judgment is contained in a statement by his special advisor Femi Adesina, issued in Abuja on Wednesday. While dedicating the victory to God and to Nigerians, the president also commended the judiciary for dispensing justice without fear or favor. President Buhari extended a hand of fellowship to those who had felt aggrieved at the outcome of the election, noting that it was within their democratic rights. And the president of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari and the All Progressive Congress on the president's victory at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. The tribunal on Wednesday dismissed the petition by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Atiku Abubakar in its entirety. Lawan, in a statement on Wednesday by his spokesperson, Ola Awoniyi, said that the judgment had put a judicial seal on the mandate freely given to the president by Nigerians in the February 23rd presidential election. Lawan urged the president to accept the affirmation of his election as a reminder of the confidence of Nigerians in the capacity to continue to lead the country to greatness. And the Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has also congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari on his victory at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal on Wednesday. The tribunal, in an 8-hour-long judgment, dismissed the petition by the People's Democratic Party and its presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. The Speaker applauded the Nigerian judiciary, especially members of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, for doing its job without fear or favor. In a statement he personally signed, Speaker Gbajabiamila felicitated with Nigerians and the entire members of the APC family nationwide for the victory. Now, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers also joined other well-wishers on Wednesday to congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari on the validation of his re-election by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Wike's congratulatory message was conveyed in a statement by Simeon Mwakaudu, his special assistant on electronic media. The governor, however, urged Buhari to use his victory to work for all Nigerians, irrespective of their political leanings. Wike also called on the president to work towards the unity of the whole country. Now, the Federal High Court in Lagos has discharged its August 8, 2019 order, which empowered the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, to take over an Ikoyi property of a former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, over an alleged debt of 537 million naira. Justice Nicholas Owibo discharged the takeover order on Wednesday after the parties presented him with their terms of settlement of the case. The parties had on September the 2nd told the judge that they were exploring an out-of-court settlement and pleaded for an adjournment to enable them to conclude settlement talks. When they returned to court on Wednesday, AMCON's lawyer, Juliet Benson, told Justice Owibo that Duke had met the terms of settlement agreed upon by the parties. Duke's lawyer, Edo Igawere Uyi, said his client has shown good faith by paying over 350 million. Justice Owibo, in a short ruling, discharged the August 8 takeover order. Now, the first batch of 187 Nigerians in South Africa have returned to Nigeria after the xenophobic attacks. The returnees were aided by the federal government with the assistance of a Nigerian carrier, Air Peace. The Boeing 77 aircraft with registration number 5NBW1, which departed Tambo International Airport, Johannesburg, landed at the cargo wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos at 9:37 p.m. The returnees included adults, children, and infants who expressed joy on returning home safely and sang the Nigerian national anthem. They were received by the chairman of Nigeria Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, Air Peace chairman, Allen Onyema, and the representative of government, which included the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, the Nigeria Immigration Service, and the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. Quite emotional there. And then moving on, the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, has applauded the proprietor and management of the Air Peace Airlines for the successful evacuation of the first batch of willing Nigerians from Johannesburg, South Africa. The aircraft conveying the Nigerians arrived Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos at 9:27 p.m. on Wednesday, 11 September 2019. The Minister of Foreign Affairs made the statement while receiving 178 Nigerians that voluntarily decided to return to Nigeria following the incessant cases of xenophobic attacks on foreign nationals in South Africa, including Nigerians. The minister, who was represented by the Acting Director, Southern African Affairs Divisions, Chuks Chikezie Jonathan, commended the laudable initiative by Alan Onyema, the proprietor of Air Peace Airlines, and assured that the federal government will continue to support, protect lives and property of Nigerians in the diaspora. Now, Army headquarters says its troops have conducted a successful raid at Kirawa community in Borno, where terrorists reportedly hibernate in collaboration with Civilian Joint Task Force. The Acting Director of Army Information, Colonel Musa Sagir, in a statement on Thursday in Abuja, said the raid was in continuation of the clearance operations to get rid of the remnants of terrorists in the state. Sagir said that the operation was carried out by troops of Special Response Area in Polka under the theater command of Operation Lapia Doli. He disclosed that the troops came in contact with terrorists, leading to serious engagement, forcing the criminals to flee in disarray as a result of superior firepower from the troops. Moving on, 7 persons, including a 7-year-old girl kidnapped at Rijana, Kaduna-Abuja Highway, have been rescued by Joint Operation Thunder Strike and handed over to Kaduna State Government, who in turn handed over the victims to the officials of the Offa Descendants Union. The survivors, who were traveling from Offa, Kwara State, to Zaria in Kaduna State last week, Saturday, were abducted by gunmen dressed in full military camouflage at Rijana at about 9:30 p.m. The survivors were Aishat Bisola, Ahmad Abdurrafiu, Mariam Abubakar, Sulaiman Khadija, Lawal Temitope, Bala Abdullahi, and Abdurazak Okunola. Speaking at Government House on Wednesday, while handing over the survivors to the State Commissioner for Internal Security, Samuel Aruwan, the Force Commander, Operation Thunder Strike, Colonel Ibrahim Gambari, said since the inception of the operation, they have been trying their best to put an end to ugly incidences that have been occurring on the highways. He added that based on the reports on the incident by police on Sunday, they had been working tirelessly to ensure that innocent civilians are reunited with their families. The Air Task Force of Operation Lapia Dole has destroyed an ammunition-laden gun truck belonging to the Islamic State of West Africa Province, ISWAP, and immobilizing another one belonging to the group at the Garunda in Borno State. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, says the success was achieved on Tuesday when a Nigerian Air Force Alpha Jet aircraft on armed reconnaissance mission along the Gudumbali-Zari-Garunda axis spotted 2 ISWAP gun trucks emerging from Jamasheri settlement heading towards Garunda. He explained that the attack aircraft tracked the 2 gun trucks as they attempted to evade detection by driving into foliage. Still in national matters, the Nigeria Police Force has paraded several criminal suspects arrested for various crimes. The force public relations officer DCP Frank Mba, while parading the suspects at the Special Anti-Robbery Squad headquarters in Abuja, says the suspects were arrested with several arms and ammunition recovered from them after painstaking investigations by the police. Mba said they have all confessed to their crimes and will be charged to court.
We have a total of 58 suspects, consisting of 57 males and 1 female, who incidentally is a Cameroonian. The suspects were arrested from different parts of the country in connection with different crimes, majorly the crime of kidnapping, armed robbery, car theft, unlawful possession of weapon, or rather weapons, murder, and the offense which is popularly in the local parlance known as one chance. A total of 18 assault AK-47 rifles were recovered from these different gangs. 1,233 rounds of live AK-47 ammunition also recovered. 9 pump actions, 5 single barrel rifles, 1 automatic pistol, 1 hand grenade, and a total of 53 live cartridges. The suspects you have here have been comprehensively investigated, and very clear prima facie cases of kidnapping, homicide, armed robbery, and unlawful possession of weapons clearly established against them.
And it's time to take a quick break now. Stay tuned for more news when we return. And moving on to the African scenes now, the body of former Zimbabwean leader Robert Gabriel Mugabe has arrived in the capital Harare on Wednesday. Full military honors were accorded to the former leader, who died at the age of 95 last week in a Singapore hospital. Arrangements have been made for his funeral and burial this weekend. Hundreds of people lined in the street leading to the Robert Mugabe International Airport to receive his body. The incumbent Emmerson Mnangagwa and the ruling party declared Mugabe a national hero and said the country will remain in a state of mourning till his eventual burial. And up next is our foreign news. The U.S. Supreme Court has given go-ahead to Trump administration plans that severely limit the ability of migrants to claim asylum. Under the rule, people arriving via a third country must claim asylum there first before arriving at the U.S. border. Legal challenges against it continue, but the ruling means for now it can be enforced nationwide. The plan will affect migrants from Central America who travel north, often on foot, through Mexico. And Iran's foreign ministry said on Wednesday that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plans to annex the Jordan Valley and his frequent accusation against Iran were ploys to win re-election. The semi-official news agency Tasnim reported this. Foreign Ministry spokesman Abbas Mousavi was quoted as saying by Tasnim that 6 votes to stay in power through accusations against Iran, and later he announces a malicious intent to annex yet another part of Palestine so he can stay in power and carry on with expansionism and aggression. Up next is our business news. And in business, the federal government has said that consultation will begin at all levels on the review of the value-added tax VAT from 5% to 7.2%, just as it is ready to begin deductions to recover bailout funds given to states. This was disclosed by the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, on Wednesday, who spoke with State House correspondents after the maiden Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari himself. She added that the ministry will begin consultations at various levels in the country. And at the close of trade on Wednesday, the stock market recorded gains in major sectors as all share index rose marginally. Our correspondent Irene Mubani tells us more.
The stock market recorded positive trades at the end of Wednesday's trade as the all-share index was up by 0.39 basis point to close at 27,153.53. Total deals recorded was 4,365, with an equity capitalization of 13.209 trillion naira. On the list of top gainers was Nestle, which closed at a share price value of 1,120 naira per share, while Seplat closed at a share price value of 450 naira per share. Guineas declined to settle at 37 naira per share, while Stanbic dropped to a share price value of 35 naira 75 kobo per share. On the list of top trade was Access, with a volume of 29.948 million shares traded at a volume of 208.420 million naira. On sectoral indices, NS Insurance was down by 1.25%, NSE Oil and Gas was up 2.82%, NSE Banking was up 0.35%, NSE Consumer Goods was up 1.60%, and NSE Industrial was up by 0.16%. And on the Naira valuation, the Naira was trading at 357 Naira buy price to $1 and selling at 360 Naira to $1, while it bought at 443 Naira to £1 and sold at 446 Naira to £1. It also bought at 391 Naira to €1 and traded at 394 Naira to €1.
And still ahead on Plus TV Africa News is our roundup on entertainment and sports news. We will be back in a moment. And some good news in entertainment as Kevin Hart has been discharged from a Los Angeles hospital following a September 1 car crash in which he sustained major back injuries. According to reports, the actor left the hospital on Wednesday and is now at a rehabilitation facility. Hart will spend roughly 1 week at the facility where he is set to undergo physical therapy with the ultimate goal of getting him back home so he can start outpatient care. And Rihanna's designer lingerie show was the talk of the New York Fashion Week. It was a star-studded catwalk show at Brooklyn's Barclays Center as the A-list guests were banned from using their phones before Amazon streams it from 20th September. The event featured music stars like DJ Khaled, Hasley, Big Sean, and Migos. The singer-turned-designer attempted to blend music, fashion, and culture with special appearances from models like Bella and Gigi Hadid, Normani, and Cara Delevingne. Amazon Studio described the show as a radical departure from tradition with exciting surprises around every corner. And that's it on entertainment, the very best in sports right after this. And in sports, it was a night to remember for Vincent Kompany at the Etihad as his testimonial featuring the Man City legends and the Premier League All-Stars ended in a thrilling 2-2 draw. Kompany himself had been ruled out of the clash with a hamstring problem, joking ahead of kickoff that in many ways it was fitting for him to sit the game out with injury. Robin van Persie fired the Premier League side ahead from long range, but Benjani's header gave City a draw. However, there was still plenty for the hugely popular Benjian, who left City at the end of last season after 11 trophy-laden years at the club to enjoy in front of 51,602 adoring fans. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We will be back later with more stories making the headlines. Please do join us again. I am Amaka Okoye. Do have yourselves a great day.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
And people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi, like,
Sleeping early.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
to be
he's
unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Very
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I think we've done very well in the very difficult circumstances in which we took over governance.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let everybody come and say.
The perception in itself does more harm than actual corruption that you have.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years. 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshuke. Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. Right, no question. He's a living legend.
No, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Many thanks for joining us on today's edition of Off the Press, where we bring you major headlines and analyze them for you from here. And today with me to do this is legal practitioner Ife Oji, and of course social commentator Dr. Femi Idowu Adegoke. Thank you very much, both of you, for being with me this morning. It's always a pleasure to see you both, and of course all our guests. So this morning we shall hit the ground running, beginning with the first paper here, which is the Punch newspaper. And on the front page of the Punch, it says, Nigeria may relapse into oil market imbalance. OPEC is saying that on page 36. And FEC OK's 7.2% new VAT rate and 10 trillion naira 2020 budget. You find that on page 28. Before it will be displayed very soon. And then Buhari approves panel on salary review. That's on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. Saipem Chiyoda and Dawu wins $10 billion NLNG train 7. You find that also on page 25 of the Punch newspaper. Now let's go to the major issues here. The headlines, the big story there is PDP hits judges as tribunal throws out Atiku's petition. Now displayed on your screen is the Punch newspaper, and you find that big story on page 2. And right underneath it is, our position has now been justified that the PDP and Atiku's petition was a complete waste of time. In their parallel efforts, they insisted on taking the country on a circus and wild goose chase. APC is saying that. You can see it there. And to the right, it says the party is also rudely shocked that the court took over the roles of the respondents' lawyers, who clearly abandoned their pleadings by refusing to call evidence in defense of the petition. PDP, so war of words there. And we see also, I wasn't disturbed by Atiku's suit all along. President Buhari reveals that to us as displayed. And we have picture stories right at the down part of the Punch newspaper of the 187 Nigerians that returned yesterday from South Africa. South Africa employs rules to stop hundreds. That's on page 13. I left wife, daughter back with nothing, a returnee says. Flights was delayed for 15 hours. Dabiri Erewa says that. On page 13, you'll find all of that story. And on the bottom part completely, it says Quack performs surgeries in Ekiti Private Hospital. Commissioner is saying that, I believe it's the Commissioner of Health, and that's on page 12. That's very serious. And Ogun homeowners scheme to be reviewed, says government. On page 19, Oyo's wage increased by 1 billion naira after polls. Makinde says that on page 19. Buratai Fayemi disagree over security vote spending, page 44. And how police killed 2 4-year students, SUG president alleges on page 4 and 5, pages 4 and 5. And then Reps Minority Whip, Wike threatens PDP over Elumelu on page 18. Now, shall we begin with the guests in studio? What Where do you want to begin, Dr. Idowu?
Well, I'll start from the top left, which says FEC OK 7.2% new VAT rate. Yeah, I know, or we all know, that the revenue of the state is dwindling because of our over-reliance on crude oil. And the market is not very good. But the question is, you're increasing the VAT now. Yes, it's welcome, but the minimum wage approval has been lingering for too long, and you're putting more tax on the people. That's just the question I have on that. And then we move on to the PDP. We were discussing yesterday that whichever way the judgment goes from the tribunal, Nigerians should just accept and be the gainer. Thank God we have a legal practitioner here today who can help us look the legal intricacies. But personally, I don't see any difference in APC and PDP. So Nigerians should just hope for the best.
You don't see any difference?
I've always said that they're the same. The two political parties have held this country bondage for 20 years.
Interesting. Ife, what are your thoughts on today's paper? PDP?
Idowu has a point. I mean, in terms of what they have delivered to us as a nation, in some ways they have been lacking. But I feel like in terms of partisan politics, there are definitely differences between the two. I mean, he has a point when he says that certain similarities, and we know that at the point where they were having the campaign rollouts, that at least a fourth of the APC candidates moved camp to
the PDP.
Exactly. But also, you know, moving forward, we know that it is in our best interest to look at the separation of powers and the checks and balances of this country, even though it's not always been a perfect system, to adhere to the judgment, move forward, think of a plan to take us to the next term. That way we can actually sort of like regroup and make sure that we are planning for the future of developments of Nigeria.
All right. There's a picture story. I mean, I did the news and it was quite emotional, seeing the returnees sing the national anthem and full of, the joy is palpable, you know, to be back home. But what are your thoughts? These 187 returnees are back.
So I made a trip to South Africa very recently, and in the last couple of weeks, it's very clear that our system has failed the Nigerian nationals in South Africa especially. You know, our doors were closed to them, and we can only thank private individuals like the MD Airpeace, Mr. Alan Onyema, who has stepped in, doing his civic duty, and has pledged to bring the returnees back. And we know that at least for a country where there was so much promise, 600 signed up to be returned to Nigeria. At that point, you know that this is their last ditch attempt at putting their life together and making sure that their families are safe and secure. And these are things that we would ordinarily entrust the government to do. And now we're finding ourselves in situations where we are having to pick up the pieces as part of our civic duty to make sure that Nigeria stays as one unit. You know, so.
Yeah, I really agree to say yes. It was a good step for Onyema. I don't know what you think to have offered to bring these people back in collaboration, of course, with the federal government.
Yeah, it was a good project, good gesture by the government and then the minister and then Airpeace. Yes, and 640 Nigerians signed up to come in, but we've had 187 of them back in Nigeria. And then the flight was delayed for 15 hours, and over hundreds were held back by the South African government because they came up with some profiling at the airport. No, they were profiling them at the airport, which I personally feel that was wrong. They should have done the profiling prior to them
getting
on board and coming back home. But having said that, we have them back. I was reading the story, And I saw one of the returnees said he's left his wife and daughter back in South Africa. Very pathetic. He left Nigeria in 2007. He's lived in South Africa for about 12 years, started a family, married to another African, not Nigerian. Now he's back home because his mother wants him back home. So where does he go from there?
Yeah, I mean, this is really sad. Come to think of it, his family members, are they safe? Well, we won't know, but it's a question, you know.
I mean, that question is a very valid question, Amaka, because at the end of the day, even during my trip to South Africa, it was very obvious that the non-South Africans are really suffering, especially with the Black Economic Empowerment Program that is implemented there. You know, so even where you have non-South African immigrants that are looking for jobs, they are at a disadvantage. So I'm not quite sure what sort of grounds that they typically have in terms of the commentators that say that most of the non-South Africans take the jobs of South Africans. It's got to a really fever pitch now where you have that local neighboring countries, their boundaries are closed. They are closed, so it's more or less a self-constructive embargo. Yes, and that is just reminiscent, and it just echoes of the apartheid period. So we need to make sure that moving forward that we work closely with other governments. It's not a good idea for us to, at this critical point to try and divide ourselves. This is the point where we are supposed to be unified and look for solutions together. And I don't think it's in anyone's interest, any country's interest, to sit on a position and see themselves as an island where other countries are also suffering at this point.
That's true. Great. Now, there's this. I remember when I read this, I was all shook to say quacks perform surgeries in Ekiti private hospitals. I think everyone should run to page 12 really to find out, to read this story. But just hearing that is scary. For private hospital also, it is scary, and I hope Ekiti State government or those who are in charge would do something. I mean,
Ekiti State government is known.
That.
Yeah, sorry, Amaka.
Yeah,
Ekiti State is known particularly for its academic prowess. They are very proud. So this would be a big blow to them because. I mean, within their population, there are so many educated with 1 degree, 2 degrees. In fact, even masters and PhDs. They have a very high concentration of doctors there. So, it boggles the mind that at that critical point, you are having to contend with malpractice suits, which we don't even normally in Nigeria. We should be able to even have. We shouldn't. Us as a patient should know that malpractice suits should be available to us. We don't really have sort of recourse to any of those as patients and people that have been filled by the health system.
That's unfortunate.
Let me quickly add to that.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, because if you look from this xenophobia and everything, it makes us to look back inward now that we need to make our country good.
Make our system work.
Yes, we need to make our system work. It's a collective, like you said. We'll all have to work together now. Even the government, the populace, the people needs to know what is going on. Now, a quack doctor performing surgery.
We shouldn't hear that at all. We shouldn't say it also. So now go to this day newspaper. It will be the next paper up for review. And again, the same story. South Africa goes tough, allows airlift of only 187 Nigerians on page 9 of this day newspaper as displayed there on your screen. In victory, Buhari extends hands of fellowship to opposition. Atiku, PDP, head to Supreme Court. Oshomole, it's a win-win situation, he says. And the Federal Executive Committee approves 10.7 trillion 2020 budget proposal, increases VAT to 7.2%. And we have a picture story here of some of the returnees from last night saying, home sweet home. Some of the 187 Nigerians evacuated from South Africa on arrival at Murtala Mohammed International Airport yesterday. Again, the same story. What do you say? The president said he's extending hands of fellowship to the opposition. In fact, he says it is within their constitutional rights, according to the statement.
It is within the constitutional right. I've always said personally that they're all the same. Nigerian politicians are the same. But at this point of the nation building, yet I think it's a welcome development. We need to come together. That's what we've been saying. And we need to make our home. I said that a few days ago. And now, if Nigeria is conducive and we have the basic amenities, we have less people moving out of the country. Yeah, there will always be immigration. There's no rule out. People will have to travel for one thing or the other. But to go and not want to come back is...
Well, still on the matter, I mean, moving on, yes, Nigerians is, you might say, should move on, but we see that Atiku and his cohort are not moving on. They're heading to...
I mean, they're well within their constitutional rights. So, again, checks and balances, you have the executive, you have the legislative, and you have the judicial. Yeah. So to ensure that each arm of government is not completely free of a check, for lack of a better word, you have to ensure he has to fulfill his constitutional rights. So.
Okay, so governors reject calls to scrap security votes. Please find that also on page 10. Conversations about the increase, the VAT, we talked about that in the first paper also. But please find that on page 6 too of this day newspaper as displayed there. And at the back of this day newspaper, it's a column by a columnist, Olusegun Adeniyi, who says Abuja-Kaduna train as a metaphor. And he has there the picture of the Transportation Minister, Honorable Rotimi Amechi. Please grab a copy and then find out what it is about. Abdulrazak's first 100 days is also one of the writings there. Please grab a copy of this day newspaper and find out what this is about. And then we move to the Nation newspaper. All of them, actually, all the papers are almost talking about the same thing. Here it says 187 Nigerians returned from South Africa after, well, this guy says 7 hours delay. 7 hours, 8 hours. The truth of the matter is that there was a delay, but they are back home. You find that on page 44. Family members were at the airport to receive their people. Returnees get phone, SIM cards, and Bank of Industry training. Is that? Well, maybe that's a way to start, to say welcome. We don't know what that is, but it sounds like a good gesture. And then we see Atiku adamant as tribunal upholds Buhari's victory. Again, just what we talked about. It's victory for Nigerians. President said, PDP said, we will appeal subversion of justice. It's vindication of Buhari's character, says Tinubu. And Lawan, Gbajabiamila and others. Okay, verdict. Wike, Sanwo-Olu, Obaseki, Oyetola, Abiodun, Akeredolu, all of these people greet the president on his victory. And then Fayemi's wife recount ordeal. That's on page 43 as displayed there on your screen. And Makinde to verify workforce on page 43. FIRS recovers 97.7 billion from tax defaulters. Only 1.78% workforce in pension net. Find out about that on page 44. And the federal government raises VAT, again, same story, to 7.2%. 182 billion naira for roads. Yes, I see you want to say something.
Yes, I want to touch on both the FIRS, what their declaration has been, and also touch on the 7.2, the proposal to raise the VAT from 5% to 7.2%. Yeah, it's been approved, but it still has to go. I'm sorry, but it still has to go past the legislative. It cannot be. It cannot be. It has been approved at executive. This is what I was talking about again in terms of the checks and balances. Yeah. So back to what I was saying. 7.2. He mentioned the minimum wage earners. This is the reason they've given. I mean, when the Honourable Minister of Finance presented the framework, the medium-term expenditure framework, one of the reasons they had given for, obviously that would typically give you the priority in terms of expenditure and look at also the constraints for budget constraints within that framework. And it's normally, I think it's a three-year term in terms of looking at what will be spent, needed to be spent within those 3 years. So I would say that the reason they've given is not a good enough reason. You cannot rob Peter to pay Paul. No, it's not going to work long term. It just end up being a vicious cycle. So if you're saying that the reason that you're increasing VAT is to redress the balance of minimum wage earners, or to pay minimum wage earners, and also state level salaries.
Bailouts, yeah.
So if they're doing the state bailouts, at the point where they receive their salaries, they still have to contend with the increased VAT. So that is a vicious cycle.
In practical terms.
Yeah. So it's literally a cycle of bring the money in, take the money out. Garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. So I think it's something they have to do, sort of work on it again from within their what they have proposed between the air and then the FIRS as well. I mean, we spoke about this before, Amaka. It's clear that they're under a lot of pressure. You know, FDI is down, foreign direct investment is down. Any kind of revenue we're getting from crude oil is obviously questionable as well. And this is what I feel they are resorting to try and redress that balance. And I don't think it's fair on the Nigerian citizens. I think there are other ways we can be more constructive in terms of how we are trying to, while I feel every working citizen should pay tax, I feel there are other ways to try and generate income and revenue for the country instead of actually going back and
depending solely on the tax.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I add to that?
Yes, you can add to it, of course. That's why we're here.
It's very unfair on Nigerian citizens because tax and the basic amenities, what is the government providing, is like the egg and the chicken. If you're not providing me what I need as a citizen, why should I pay tax? And right now, a lot of people are paying tax, middle class and the working class. But the majority of the defaulters are mainly the high earners and the well-to-do in the society. They from what we've seen. And I feel our tax framework is needs a bit of work on. Because if you look at most of the international developed countries that we envy, they pay tax.
They do.
And they have high percentage. But the citizens are not complaining because
it's commensurate with what
they get from the government. And they don't provide, like in Nigeria, you provide your own electricity, the roads, everything.
What do we not provide for ourselves? Security.
Yeah.
And then you want people to pay tax.
Well, I mean, I also want to just add and buttress to what Idowu has just said as well. I think that, especially when you look at it from a revenue generating perspective, especially for FIRS, about 70% of their revenue, he's right, is generated from the oil industry. So you want to make sure that if you're saying that we need to raise more revenue, which I don't actually feel is true, I feel they have actually gone above and beyond in the last 5 years. I mean, the Director General himself, he said as well that in the last 5 years, Nigeria has collected more tax than it has in the duration of Nigeria being a democratic society. So I want to commend them. I'm not saying everything they're doing is bad, but I just wish that we will also look at making sure that where the bulk of the money is coming from, or the revenues are being generated, are actually you focus on those areas and make sure that most companies are compliant and it's optimized.
All right. In the interest of time, we will move to the Vanguard newspaper up for review now. And again, the same story. South Africa's immigration harass and detain returnees. We find that on page 8. Flight was... Well, there is a delay because the Vanguard newspaper says it's 5 hours. Allow only 188 of 320
the hours keep dropping.
Yes, well, it depends on when each of them
we miss 1 hour each by each paper.
Yeah, so we know that there was a delay. That's established. And then again, President Buhari floors Atiku. Buhari, eminently qualified to contest, the tribunal says Electoral Act substantially complied with the ads, all that they needed to comply with. You find that big story on page 5. And again, picture stories, homebound, and then arrival of returnees who came back last night from South Africa. The Air Peace flight that brought back the returnees, as we know, is thanks to Mr. Allen Onyema. And the murder of Ondo professor, killers must be brought to book, the family insists. That was quite a sad story right there. You please find that on page 14 as displayed there on the screen. And AFG, again, raises VAT to 7.6. FEC approves 10.07 trillion budget estimate for 2020. And then removing security votes will be inimical to development, cause chaos, says governors. You find that place on page 12. And on minimum wage, Buhari orders immediate conclusion of consequential adjustments. Please find this conversation on page 9. UK reintroduced more goals from Iwobi. I know that you like to talk about that, Dr. Idowu. And Raw salutes exciting Eagles, expresses satisfaction with team performance against Ukraine. You were talking about that yesterday, I remember. And Raw compounds Ihan Acho's forces wars. Nigeria recall fails to provide forward with confidence. Please find all of this sports conversation on Complete Sports. Ronaldo sets new Euro records. All of them, you find it on the front page, and of course, more sports news on the back page. Do you want to say anything on any of the sports news? You pass. You pass. All right, thank you so very much, both of you, Dr. Idowu and, of course, Ife Oji, for joining me this morning on Off the Press to dissect the national dailies. We'll do this again tomorrow by 8:30 a.m. here on Plus TV Africa, and I am Amaka Okoye. Please have yourselves a great day.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
And people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi, like,
Sleeping early.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
No, really disastrous for a president to be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
It's
very
backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I think we've done very well in the very difficult circumstances in which we took over governance.
Plus, politics will feel the pulse of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say.
The perception in itself does more harm than actual corruption that you have.
Plus, politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
Country people, we thank una one that joined us on top News on the Hour for Plus TV Africa.
This na number 63 Massey Street for Itafaji, where building just collapsed by 10 a.m. this morning.
They say the Oga of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, don't tell federal government say if they provoke him, it go cause wahala for inside the country.
Because if the British citizen no be say you go enter Niger, come cause kasala, run go Britain, go stay in peace.
Them say na the diesel truck catch fire as they try offload the diesel way they inside. Come out, fire department come try quench the fire.
For the first time for Niger, every will enjoy television news for Ogbonge Pidgin English.
For more story, make una kukuma follow us at Plus TV Africa on top Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Make una subscribe to our YouTube page and for Star Times on channel 308.
This TV station, Plus TV Africa, is designed to help to create a paradigm shift. The more we tell our stories, the more we learn from whatever our past mistakes have been.
We can be much more than we are.
We should be doing a lot in refineries. And we are definitely investing in our staff. We're training, we're developing, we're creating the kind of workforce that will be the envy of the international broadcast. The quality of the reportage, the quality of our
All right, country people, agree to on top this very o'clock. Want to join us for News on the Hour for Plus TV Africa. This is the editorial Sama given my name, I promise Nero. They say the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, when said they sit down for Abuja on Tuesday, approved President Muhammadu Buhari victory for the February 23rd general election. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) and their presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, we don't file one joint petition when say challenge the president victory for the election. Justice Mohammed Gaba, chairman of the five-man tribunal, when said deliver the judgment, he said the petitioners they fail to discharge the burden of the proof when said they expect from them. Gaba said the allegate of the electoral wuru when said the petitioners do, it they criminal for nature and they need to prove them well. The judge still say they no fee hold the president or the All Progressive Congress APC for the ballot box when said they thief, another matter of when people do. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) don't say they not agree for the judgment of Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. When say they take say the candidate of the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) President Muhammadu Buhari win the February 23rd, 2019 election. The PDP, for one statement on Wednesday by the National Publicity Secretary, Kola Ologbondiyan, he said the verdict is provocative and one subversion of the justice and one direct assault of integrity of the nation's justice system. The party said they're shocked, say the tribunal failed to point to justice even with the flawless evidence, and said they give them. The opposition party say they're not going to lose hope or surrender to the matter of self-help, as their lawyers ready to get justice for the Supreme Court. The coalition of the United Political Party on Wednesday say they received with pain the judgment of the Presidential Election Tribunal, who said that they say Oga President Muhammadu Buhari win the election. The CUPP, a talk person, Imo Goshiere, he says CUPP rejected the verdict. Agreeing to Ram, he says as a matter of the law, who said they turn upside down and an insult and one provocative to Niger people. He said from the totality of the judgment, the Court of Appeal, PEP Tipane, don't lose the opportunity. When said the petition of the consensus opposition candidate, Atiku Abubakar, give them to end the electoral wuru and leadership incompetence of the imposing matter of unfit leader for the people. CUPP, they stand by the judgment, say plenty of the presidency don't hijack the judiciary and Niger can only expect judgment and not be justice. Oga President Muhammadu Buhari said Wednesday ruling of the presidential election petition on the February 23, 2019 poll said that victory for Niger people when they come out to elect them for second term for office. The president's reaction to the judgment he did for one statement by his special advisor Femi Adesina when said they give for Abuja on Wednesday. As they dedicated the victory to God and to Niger people, the presidency shook hands, clap hands for the judiciary for better justice without fear or favor. Oga President Buhari extend hand of fellowship to those when they say they're not happy for waiting come out for the election, say now within their democratic rights. President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, don sama congratulobia, give Oga President Muhammadu Buhari and the All Progressive Congress APC for the presidential victory for the presidential election petition tribunal. The tribunal Wednesday threw away the petition by the People's Democratic Party and their candidate Atiku Abubakar for one corner. Lawan for one statement on Wednesday when he say talk person Ola Awoni Edu. He talks said the judgment don't put one judicial seal for the mandate when he said they give free to the president by Nigerians for the February 22 presidential election. Lawan told the president to accept the affirmation of the election as a reminder of the confidence of Niger people for a capacity to continue to lead the country to greatness. The Speaker of Niger House of Rep, Femi Gbajabiamila, he don sama congratulobia give Oga President Muhammadu Buhari for a victory for the presidential election petition tribunal on Wednesday. The tribunal for one 8-hour-long judgment threw away the petition by the People's Democratic Party and their presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. The Speaker clapped for the Niger judiciary, especially members of the presidential election petition tribunal, said they do their job without fear or favor. For one statement when we say sign, Speaker Gbajabiamila, he do better yarns give Niger people and the entire members of the APC family nationwide for the victory. They say Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers is still joined other well-wishers on Wednesday to sama congratulobia give Oga President Muhammadu Buhari for the validation of a re-election by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Wike is sama congratulatory message. He did one statement by Simeon Nwakodu, in special assistant on electronic media. The governor tell Buhari make he use in victory to work for all Niger people, even with their different political leanings. Wike still call on President to make a work for the unity of the country. Let's say the Federal High Court for Lagos don't discharge their August 8, 2019 order, when say empower the Asset Management Corporation of Niger to take over one Ikoyi property of one before governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, for debt of 537 million naira when we say they owe. Justice Nicholas Owaibo discharged the takeover order on Wednesday after the party gave them their terms of settlement of the case. The party done on September 2nd tell the judge say that they do work out for out-of-court settlement and plead for one adjournment to make them to conclude settlement talks when we say they show back to court on Wednesday. AMCON lawyer Juliet Benson, he tell Justice Owaibo say Duke don't make the terms of the settlement when we say they agree for the party then. Duke lawyer Edogiawere Uyi, he said a client does show good faith as he paid over 350 million naira. Justice Owaibo for one short ruling discharged the August 8 takeover order. The first batch of 187 Niger people of South Africa don't show back to Niger after the xenophobic brigade. The returnees sent out with the power of the federal government with assistance of one Nigerian carrier Air Peace. The B777 aircraft with registration number 5NBWI, when we say departs Tambo International Airport, Johannesburg, it landed for the cargo wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, for 9:37 p.m. The returnees them now adult, Pikins them, and small Pikins them well. And they say body sweet them as they show back well and they can sing the Niger national anthem. The Shemo of Niger Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, APC Shemo, Alen Oyema, and the representative of the government when we say the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Nigeria Immigration Service, and the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, and they welcome them. The Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Oyema, he don't clap hand for the proprietor and management of Air Peace Airlines for the successful carrier of the first batch of Niger people from Johannesburg, South Africa. The aircraft, when we say carried the Niger people, show Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, for 9:23 p.m. or evening on Wednesday, 11 September 2019. The Minister of Foreign Affairs do the statement as they receive 178 Niger people when they agree to come back to Niger because of the xenophobic biggie for foreign nationals inside South Africa and Niger people. The Minister, when he said the Acting Director of Southern African Affairs Division, Chuks Chikeze Jonathan, he stands for Clap for Better Initiative by Alen Oyema, the proprietor of the Air Peace Airlines, and said the federal government will continue to support, protect lives and property for Niger in diaspora. Army headquarters say their troops don't do one successful raid for Kirawa community inside Borno, where terrorists they take the collabo with civilian joint task force. The acting director of the Army Information, Colonel Musa Seger, for one statement on Thursday inside Abuja, said the raid a continuation of the clearance operation to throw away the remnant of terrorists for the state. Seger is saying troops of Special Response Area of the Puka under the Theater Command of Operation Lafiadol, Naidu de Waka. He said the troop come in contact with terrorists when they say it caused Obongek Bege when he forced the criminal to run because of superior firepower from the troops. The Air Task Force, ATF, of Operation Lafiado, he don't scatter one ammunition laden gun truck when the Islamic State of West Africa Province, ISWAP, get. And they can't stop another one when they say the group for Gurundo inside Borno State, they get. One statement by the Director of the Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, he said they achieved the success on Tuesday when one Niger Air Force NAF Alpha jet aircraft for armed mission along the Gudumbali Zari Gurunda axis when they see two ISWAP gun truck when they come from Jomacheri settlement when they go Gurunda. He said the attack aircraft tracked two gun trucks as they attempt to evade detection as they drive enter foliage. They say the Niger police force don't parade plenty criminal suspects when they arrest for plenty crimes. The first public relations officer, DCP Frank Umba, as they parade the suspect for the Special Anti-Robbery Squad headquarters for Abuja, he said they arrest the suspect when they say with plenty arms and ammunition when they take from them after police investigate them. Umba say all of them don't confess to their crimes and they go charge them, go court.
We have a total of 58 suspects consisting of 57 males and 1 female, who incidentally is a Cameroonian. The suspects were arrested from different parts of the country in connection with different crimes, majorly the crime of kidnapping, armed robbery, car theft, unlawful possession of weapon, or rather weapons, murder, and the offense which is popularly in the local parlance known as one chance. A total of 18 assault AK-47 rifles were recovered from these different gangs. 1,233 rounds of live AK-47 ammunition also recovered. 9 pump actions, 5 single barrel rifles, 1 automatic pistol, 1 hand grenade, and a total of 53 live cartridges. The suspects you have here have been comprehensively investigated, and very clear prima facie cases of kidnapping, homicide, armed robbery, and unlawful possession of weapons clearly established against them.
All right, now time to take one short break. When we show back, we'll summon another three then. We'll not go anywhere.
My name is Mr. Onyekachiku John Ike. I won 1 million now from Diamond Extra. See, I feel excited. I know that it's true because when they call me, they say they are from my branch at Oshodi, and I have not seen for a long time, which is true. So, and they say that I should come over there. So it's not when they say that it's real, not fake. First of all, I'll use the 10% to go after the Almighty God who made it possible now. Then the rest, I'll use the rest to invest. I said thank you very, very much, Access Bank. As you say, so you do. So, when I've been Baba now, you are #1 bank in Nigeria now.
The body of before Zimbabwean Oga Robert Gabriel Mugabe don't show the capital Harare on Wednesday. Full military honors, and they gave the before Oga when he died for the age of 95 last week for one Singapore hospital. They done the arrangement for him burial this weekend. Hundreds of people lined the streets when he lead to Robert Mugabe International Airport to receive him body. The incumbent embassy Mnangagwa and the ruling party declared Mugabe as national hero and said the country will remain in the state of mourning till the burial finish. The next one, now our foreign news. Let's say the Supreme Court don't give the go-ahead to Trump administrative plans when we say limit power of migrants to claim protection. Under the rule, people when we say they show through third country must claim protection there first before they show for the U.S. border. Legal challenge against them may continue, but the ruling it may say for now if it do them nationwide. The plan will affect migrants from Central America when we say that they travel north with leg through Mexico. Let's say the semi-official news agency Tasnim report say Iran foreign minister, he talk on Wednesday say Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu plans to annex the Jordan Valley and infrequent accusation against Tehran and to win re-election. The quote Foreign Ministry, Tok person Abbas Mousavi, as it takes a task name, they look for vote to stay for power through accusation against Iran, and later it control one kind matter to annex another part of the Palestine. So if he stay for power and carry on with the expansion and attack. The next one, na business news. The federal government, they don't say the consultations go start for all levels for the review of the value-added tax, VAT, from 5% to 7.2%, just as it's ready to start deduction to recover bailout money when we say they give states. Now, the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, talked this one on Wednesday with State House Tok person after the meeting Federal Executive Council meeting with Oga President Muhammadu Buhari as a sit-down as Oga. She said the ministry will start consultation for plenty levels for the country as it hot. For the close of trade on Wednesday, the stock market record gains for Ogbonge sectors as the all-share index go up. Irene Obani, Iyano Small.
The stock market recorded positive trades at the end of Wednesday's trade as the all-share index was up by 0.39 basis point to close at 27,153.53. Total deals recorded was 4,365, with an equity capitalization of 13.209 trillion naira. On the list of top gainers was Nestle, which closed at a share price value of 1,120 naira per share, while Seplat closed at a share price value of 450 naira per share. Guineas declined to settle at 37 naira per share, while Stanbic dropped to a share price value of 35 naira 75 kobo per share. On the list of top trade was Access, with a volume of 29.948 million shares traded at a volume of 208.420 million naira. On sectoral indices, NS Insurance was down by 1.25%, NSE Oil and Gas was up 2.82%, NSE Banking was up 0.35%, NSE Consumer Goods was up 1.60%, and NSE Industrial was up by 0.16%. And on the Naira valuation, the Naira was trading at 357 Naira buy price to $1 and selling at 360 Naira to $1, while it bought at 443 Naira to £1 and sold at 446 Naira to £1. It also bought at 391 Naira to €1 and traded at 394 Naira to €1.
Still ahead for Plus TV Africa News, our roundup for entertainment and sports with the show back. Rihanna designer lingerie, a show now the talk of the New York Fashion Week. Now Star Waka Waka show for Brooklyn Barclays Center as they not let the A-list guests to use their phones before Amazon go stream from 20th of September. The event featured music stars like DJ Khaled, Halsey, Big Sean, and Migos. The singer Wemsey turned designer attempt to blend music, fashion, and culture with special appearance from models like Bella and Gigi Hadid, Normani, and Cara Delevingne. Amazon Studios say the show na radical departure from tradition with better surprise around every corner. Alright, now for that, we'll break on top this very o'clock for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. For better and plenty information, Mona follow us at Plus TV Africa for Facebook, for Twitter, and for Instagram. And it will make sense if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We still have someone have plenty other to read them as time they go. My name is Promise Nero, and I thank you for join us. Una, well done.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
to be
he's
unaware of the chief justice.
a ploy.
It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Backfire.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I think we've done very well in the very difficult circumstances in which we took over governance.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say.
The perception in itself does more harm than actual corruption that you have.
Plus, politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, by no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like an
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
And people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi, like,
sleeping early.
This TV station, Plus TV Africa, is designed to help to create a paradigm shift. that the more we tell our stories, the more we learn from whatever our past mistakes have been.
We can be much more than we are. We should be doing a lot in refineries.
We are definitely investing in our staff. We're training, we're developing, we're creating the kind of workforce that will be the envy of the international broadcast. The quality of the reportage, the quality of our presentation, the quality of our production will be obvious. We're saying that we want to reach Africans wherever they are and get the message across to them. That's what Plus TV Africa is all about.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the result of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I think we've done very well in the very difficult circumstances in which we took over governance.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say.
The perception in itself does more harm than actual corruption that you have.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Country people, we dey thank una one that joined us on top News on the Hour for Plus TV Africa.
This na number 63 Massey Street for Itafaji, where building just collapsed by 10 a.m. this morning.
They say the Oga of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, don't tell federal government say if they provoke him, it go cause wahala for inside the country.
Because if the British citizen no be say you go enter Nigeria, come cause kasala, run go Britain, go stay in peace.
Them say na the diesel truck catch fire as they try offload the diesel way dey inside. Come out, fire department come try quench the fire.
For the first time for Nigeria, every go enjoy television news for Ogbonge Pidgin English.
For more tori, make una kukuma follow us at Plus TV Africa on top Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make una subscribe to our YouTube page and for Star Times on channel 308.
Many thanks for joining us on the show today. Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I'm Udoka Njoko, and it's Thursday. We're looking forward to the weekend where club football will be back from all across Europe, talking about the English Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, the French Ligue 1. There's also the German Bundesliga and the Italia Serie A. The football fans are hotting up and are looking forward to that big one as we return from the international break. I've got Sunday Binabo right here on the show. We'll be talking about sports together, and he'll be giving his analysis later on the show, because we know that he's a Man United fan, and I like to always put him on the spot. Looking forward to the game between Manchester United and Leicester City this weekend. So you know that about 5 players will be missing in that encounter for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side. But later on, he will tell us about that. But of course, let me welcome him to the show. Good morning, Sunday.
Thank you for having me, Udoka.
Good to have you here once again.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's start off with the local scene and go straight to what it is. Talking about female football now, the women, Nigeria Women's Premier League. And for the Super 4 teams, they have emerged after the last match day, and looking at that one, we see Abia Angels as they finished as runners-up in the position in the just concluded abridged regular season in the NWPL after they pipped a hard-fighting Ibom Angels 1-0 in Wednesday's match day 6 clash. And although Abia Angels claimed the 3 points at stake, it wasn't enough to cement the most wanted Super 4 spots. No thanks to Confluence Queens' 4-1 victory over newcomers Invisible Angels in Lokoja. Abia Angels finished second in Group D with 10 points, one behind group winners Confluence Queens. We also have Adamawa Queens, who secured the Group B top spots, as well as the Super 4 ticket on 12 points after their 1-1 draw with the newcomers Dream Stars Ladies at the Agege Stadium in Lagos. And the Lagos side will engage in relegation playoffs to determine their fate in the top flight. And in the other group clash, we have Heartland Queens, who secured a 3-2 win against Edo Queens in Okigwe to guarantee their stay in the top flight. In Group A, we have FC Robo Queens, who grabbed the 4-2 away win against Oshun Babes in Oshogbo, and they have the chance to, of course, be in the Super 4 for the first time. But the Lagos side will have to wait at least some hours to be sure of their place in that one, because the game is currently going on because Rivers Angels are taking on Delta Queens at the moment, and the first half results ended in a 2-2 draw. And Sunshine Queens opened a window for Super 4 spots after defeated Kaduna Queens 2-0 in Akure to momentarily climb to the top of the Group C log on 11 points. And the Akure side will still have to wait a bit to be sure of their fate, as Bayelsa Queens and Nasarawa Amazons will have to play their own last day match in Yanagoa later today. And for the game in Port Harcourt, it was postponed due to a heavy rainfall, but the game is ongoing at the moment. When we have the final result, we'll surely let you know what the scoreline is and who gets to make it to the Super 4 position. I mean, Sunday, looking at how the Nigerian Women's Premier League has been placed so far, we know that we can't compare it to what's happening in the male tournament, but then we still talk about one major problem: visibility. We don't get to see these leagues. So how is it possible for us to pick out quality players from these leagues if we don't get to see it on our TV?
Yeah, when you were reading the story, I was actually telling myself, wow, this is good. First time I'm hearing the female league, Nigerian female league, being discussed.
Really active, yeah.
You know, in as much as the female football in this part of the world is not being given priority that is needed compared to the likes of USA, the Germanys, the China and the rest, who dominate the world. I mean, this is a nice one, but from the pictures that we saw, you could see the stadium is empty.
Exactly.
So that's to tell you the publicity that we have, the female football have in Nigeria, is alarming. It's very, very low. Some of us don't even know the female clubs that we have in Nigeria. So how do you want to grow this? I think there is more to be done. We still need more information, more publicity to be dished out, because most Nigerians, they don't know that we even have female league. So all they know is Nigeria Professional League, Eyimba,
the Heartlands,
the Rangers, the MFM of this world, and the rest. But the females, nobody talks about them. You know, you don't get to see them on TV. Is it a crime if you have a female national league being aired? Okay, let me not say private-owned television station. But what about the government-owned television stations?
Exactly.
What about the state-owned television stations? I mean, these are avenues that we should explore, and then which will help us in identifying young talent from the field who will now represent us in our national female league, in our national team,
the Super
the Super Falcons. those girls there, I don't want to mention them, some of them are, by now, they should be out of that team. You know, this Nigerian Women League now, when we properly harness the potentials that are there, I mean, to go a long way in boosting our female national team.
Very true, and like you rightly said, we've seen the likes of Germany and US and even France as they encourage their female team, their local league when it comes to female football, and they do well on the international scene. And I remember a friendly game that was played between Nigeria and France. I wouldn't want to tell you what the scoreline was. It was the thorough bashing in that one. So if you can put our acts together and get our league working, I'm sure we'll go a long way when it comes to playing football, talking about female football. Now, Asisat Oshoala, some time ago, she tackled her teammate, Desire Paranozie, on the issue of having equal pay with the men in the world of sport. And this talk has been going on, not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. Some people have actually started talking about having equal pay. Even in tennis, it was also talked about. Now, Asisat Oshoala countered Desire Paranozie. She said that we do not need, at this moment, we don't need equal pay. We need to focus on female football. Let's grow the female football in Nigeria. Let's put it to a particular stage that when it gets to a stage where we know that, yes, we can compete at the world level, we can compete, people are seeing what we're doing in Nigeria, then we can talk about equal pay. But for now, we should rest the case. We talked about empty stadiums. Nobody goes to watch. It's just a few fans that you get to see, probably journalists that will go there to watch these games so that they can put the news out there. But for you to have fans watch even the male football, talking about the Nigeria Professional Football League, is difficult, except there are big teams like MFM, Kano Pillars, Enyimba, Rangers. But when you have the other teams, it's quite difficult for you to have a stadium packed full with fans because of bad publicity. And we also talk about the security in the stadium where they actually play. So it goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree with you. In as much as I don't want to agree with both of them, I want to sit on the fence. But if you take a look at it, let me take you to USA. When the USA team, female team, won the World Cup, they refused to take the World Cup to President Trump. What happened? They said they were demanding equal pay with the male counterpart. So because of that, they did not present the trophy to Donald Trump, to the president. These women have every right to demand for what they are asking for. It is not bad if same pay that is being given to men are given to women. It goes a long way to boost not just the team, but the young lads who are coming up. They know that, okay, I can compete with my male counterpart. After all, we earn the same pay. So it's a morale booster. But coming to say they should, you know, at the same time pay the same level with me, I won't say it is not good for the game. It's not good for the game. You can't compare what the men go through to the women. In as much as it's the same football pitch, the same style of play, everything is the same. I mean, men is a male-dominated game. So men should have upper, but I somehow want to agree with them that they should have equal pay. But I don't see that coming to pass. But talking about fans not being in the stadium to watch this female, it's part of what we are talking about. When there is no proper pay, like some of the players, the ladies who played for the league, they have this money at their disposal. They could pay family, friends to, I'm playing at so stadium, please come over. Do you get? But when they don't have, how much are they being paid in the first place? What is their pay? Their contract sign-on fee, how much is it? How much do they get at the end of the day? So if you look at it somehow, you see that increasing their pay, or you justify the Adizat's opinion that they should be paid with equal right with men. But me and you know that will not happen.
Well, it's the sad case of the football that's going on here. How much do these players earn? Just yesterday, I saw something all over social media that a player was signed on to Kano Pillars, though it was reported as a rumor that the player was signed on to Kano Pillars for 5,000 naira. And I'm like, who does that? But it's actually a rumor. But we do not have data.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. We do not have major data on the sign-on fees of these players, because if you get to hear the ridiculous amount that these players are being signed for, then you would think we're not ready to play football in this part of the world. Let's still talk about the local scene and go straight to amputee football. It's all about money today on the show. And for the amputee football team, talking about the Special Eagles, they are complaining bitterly that they don't have funds to help them get more preparation, better preparation for the Nations Cup going on. That'll be going on in Angola later this month. The players are complaining, and they have been training, and they said they need the government to support them. They need the Ministry of Sports and Youth Development to support them, because they want to go to the Nations Cup. I remember they went to the World Cup and they represented Nigeria real good. They made history by winning a match in that one. So good performance for Nigeria. And I think we have a good team. We just need better training and funding for these guys to go represent Nigeria. And they're talking to, they want to go there to Angola to win the Nations Cup. But I mean, why do we keep having the issue of funding in our sports? It's a sad case.
It is. Generally, funding has been a problem, not just Nigeria, but Africa. I was going through something downstairs, and CAF is yet to pay the 2019 AFCON winners their prizes.
Wow.
Nigeria has not gotten the third place prize, Algeria and Senegal. They have not. So funding in Africa football, in Africa sport, is alarming. I mean, I don't know if they really watch what is being done in Europe.
Europe, yeah.
These guys go there, they enjoy the luxury, they enjoy the media, and then they come down here to release money is a problem. And then when the money is being made available, some person somewhere sits on top. I mean, these guys, like you rightly said, what stopped them? These are Paralympics. And these are guys, sorry to say, these are guys who do better than the able people in Nigeria. There was a time that this guy won more medals compared to the able-bodied men. I mean, funds should not be the problem of our sport presently in Nigeria. And I want to call on the Minister of Sport. This should be one of these priority, one of the angles that he should look out for. Funding in all aspects of Nigerian sport. Funds should not be a problem. Corporate bodies should come in. They should market our sport. Sport is a very big business that brings money. So if proper marketing is being done, I mean, we should not be having fund-related issue that people cannot travel, people cannot train. I mean, if you find out that these guys pay all their training kits, everything you see there, they buy them by themselves. None is coming from the government. We can't continue this way. And how do you tend to develop sport in the country? So you see, we are not moving forward. It's like we are moving on a cycle.
Very true. But the players, they've said that they want to go to Angola to bring this Nations Cup home. And they're all ginger, they're motivated, and the camp is actually hot right now. Selection problems for the coach. But then let's listen to a few of the players, what they said concerning the preparation and what we expect from them in Angola.
The training is, as you can see, it's lively. We enjoyed ourselves training because we're preparing for our Nations Cup. So that's why you see everybody is, trying to train and be fit before the time comes up. We're promising our nation we are going to at least try our possible best again, because it depends on how Nigerians and the federation support, the athletes. That's what's going to boost. Because we have it in mind. So I will only plead to the government to look into the federation so that they can help us, so that to boost the players and so that we can reach the greater height in this Nations Cup. At least perhaps we might take the Nations Cup, which I believe we can do it because we've been to the World Cup also and Mexico. So I see we have the opportunity, we have the chance. If we could be encouraged.
We see how our people used to train a very good fit, but where we are training is not all that convenient for us. It's not easy like that. We are just managing. So you can see we are seriously training for the Nations Cup. Nigeria should not expect nothing but win. We are going to bring the Nations Cup to Nigeria.
We are going there to go and achieve our aim, to go and bring the trophy back to our country. That's our expectation.
The preparation has been going well.
We are going to start camp by the 30th of this month, and the training will be rigorous. Like, our training will be very hard. So the whole idea is for us to be camped and for us to all face training at a single time, and for us to integrate into each other, know our game plan, know the pattern, develop our fitness level. So it's really a good idea, and by the 30th of this month, we'll all be going to camp, and the whole thing is just going to spring up from that. The Federation has been supportive. It was through their own initiative that they brought up this camp, and since the championship that we held to select the players that will be coming for the camp, we've been encouraged to keep on training. And to follow up on that, they brought a federation coach that has been monitoring us, that has been employing us, and that has been telling us things to do, to work on our fitness, on our game plan and everything. So the federation has been really supportive of us.
Yes, the Federation has been supportive of everything going on in camp and having team selection at the moment, but they're still crying out for funds. They want money for them to fund their World Cup, their Nations Cup trip. And the president, talking about the Nigeria Amputee Football Federation President Isa Suleiman, also spoke out and said he wants the government to help them with funds. It's all about funds, funds, funds. Let's listen to Isa Suleiman.
We are appealing to the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport to assist the amputee national football team with both financial and material resources to enable it to make an appreciable appearance at the 5th competition for amputee football in Angola. This is because the Federation wants to consolidate on the gains of its appearance of the Amputee Football Cup in Mexico, which has enabled Nigeria to be in the international ranking and in the African ranking. The Federation on its part has made adequate arrangements for the athletes to camp. We've gotten a good pitch for the athletes. Initially, they were using the sandy pitch, and we said no. If they are coming to camp, they are going to use the legacy pitch at the National Stadium, which has been approved by the Federal Ministry of Youth.
Everyone crying out and seeking funds from the federal government, but I just hope that things are put in place and these guys can actually have a wonderful tournament right there in Angola. If you see, watching them, you know that they have the zeal. They want to perform. They want to bring back the Nations Cup for Nigeria. But if they have the right support, I think these guys go far.
Luca, you heard them when they were saying it. You see the passion in them. They want to really deliver their best. But fun is tying them down.
That's the problem.
Fun is tying them. These guys they want to give it all for the country just to win that Nations Cup. But at this point, I think I listened to the amputee, the president spoke. Why must we always wait for government? Can't they go for private sponsors? I mean, we should look away from what government should do for us. I think it's time for us to start asking ourselves, what can we do to raise money for this competition? Because if we keep waiting for government, the truth is we'll continue to be in this mess that we are in today. Every sector of the sport in Nigeria is talking about fund. Where is the fund coming from? The sole government. Our people used to say that when you keep cutting meat from cow, you don't know how painful it is to the cow. One day the cow will either complain or the meat will get finished. So before you get to that critical situation, why not look out somewhere? How do I sustain myself? This federation can go out, look for corporate bodies to sponsor. We have the communication organization, we have the banking sector, we have the oil and gas. I mean, let's do proper publicity. People are out there willing to sponsor these guys. Let's just make that move.
Very true. Words of wisdom from Sunday Binibo right there. If you keep cutting the meat from the body of a cow, one day the cow would complain and probably it might just fire back. You never can tell. But good one from Sunday right there. Let's move straight to basketball, the ongoing FIBA World Cup. And remember yesterday, France dealt USA a huge blow in that one as they sent USA packing from the tournament from the medal standing position. Of course, USA will not be able to get to the podium, but France have a chance to move on to the finals of that tournament. But let's talk about the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. 7 teams have been confirmed has qualified for that tournament. In Africa, we have Nigeria. I remember Nigeria defeated China in the last classification game, and China are the host nation for the FIBA on the World Cup going on in China. So Nigeria has qualified for the Olympics. There's also in the Americas, we have United States of America and Argentina representing the South American zone. They've qualified for the Olympics. And in Asia, we have Iran. They've also qualified. And in Europe, we have France and Spain qualifying for the Olympics. And to capital in the Oceania, we have Australia. Yes, Australia has also qualified for the World Cup. As we run out of the studio, we know that we had a testimonial match for Vincent Kompany yesterday. That game ended 2-2 between the Manchester City legends and the Premier League legends. It was an interesting game, and Paul Scholes was all over the news on social media today. But let's wrap up the show with Manchester United as we look forward to the game between United and Leicester City. But the major issue for Manchester United, since the start of the season, they've only been able to manage one win. That was against Chelsea. They've also lost a game, and they've drawn a game in the English Premier League. So not a good performance for Manchester United. So looking forward to the game between United and Leicester City. Sunday is here. I'll ask him what his take will be looking forward to that game. We know that United might be